welcome to Not Another Rangers podcast. It's your Monday night edition. I'm your host, Gary, and we are joined tonight by Scott and Willie, who I'll introduce in a moment. I just looking at comments as I was waiting to come on there. Alexander, sorry to hear that you said you had a heart attack during last week, so hopefully you're feeling better now, and good to see you still watching. No, that's the main thing. Still managing to keep an eye on the pod, and hopefully we can cheer you up for the next hour. So sorry to hear that, Alexander, one of our regular viewers. So we went on Friday, so obviously personal circumstances that was unavailable, and Scott wasn't well, so we didn't have a show on Friday. So the last show was last Monday. And that time we've beaten Aberdeen twice. We have appointed a new chief executive. We have made our first signing of the summer transfer window. And the biggest talking point, obviously, over that period of time was Nico Raskin squishing somebody with a bit of water, apparently. That seems to be the main topic of conversation since yesterday. Who'd have known it was such a big deal? So, Scott, how are you? How have you been?
Not great, Gary. Not been feeling great the last few days, but back on the night to see if I can tune myself up more than anything else. But just to say, Alexander, I hope he gets better soon. He's always on here, and he's always watching us and stuff. So I'm really hoping he's out of hospital soon and feeling back to his normal self.
No, definitely echo that from the pod. You know, it's always great watching the comments. There's a real community of people that participate and talk to each other and so forth. So we wish you well, Alexander. Hopefully you're getting better than you are there. And yeah, somebody asked me, I'm sitting with my foot up on elevated currently, trying to recover my broken ankle as it stands, which is swelling and a lot of pain at the moment. So we're all in the wars. We're all not doing great. And I think while he was on last week, he was the only one that was ticking along quite nicely. So nothing else to report since last week. Wicky, Willie, still good?
Still good, mate. But I feel like something's coming. The fact that you two only having a good time, so I'm just expecting to go heat first into a poll or something like that in the coming days, and probably end up the same as you.
Just watch it for the buses in the morning if you're walking to work.
Here, I nearly slipped the other day, see when it was really icy outside, and also like, it's where I live, you've obviously got to kind of get around the corner, and there's always like a build up of water because like the drainage isn't great. And I just took a step and I was like, this isn't a good sign when a big guy's trying to walk on ice. It wasn't a pretty sight a couple of times. I was like holding on to fences as I was going round the side of the hooses. But I'm glad it's actually raining now because that ice was it was terrible for me.
I'll tell you a very quick story. My brother-in-law, so there was obviously a funeral, and my brother's funeral on Friday. So sadly, at the end of the night, my brother-in-law was outside, slept in black ice, taken away by an ambulance with a broken leg, and is currently in the RAH, getting operated on a day. So get well to my brother-in-law. So it's been one of these. As you said, the ice was treacherous, fell, had a concussion, and is in there now. So good luck. So get well soon, Brian, if you are listening or watching. Anyway. On to the football.
Let's cheer ourselves up, eh?
I know, there's been a lot happening over the course of last week. That's the problem. We don't have time to do two pods. There's so much happening we could catch up on over there. In terms of the football itself, I suppose we've had 2 wins against Aberdeen. Well, we didn't talk. We'd won last Tuesday night, I think, which was a pretty routine one at Ibrox, and then yesterday's one, which we'll focus on. Which was again another 2-0 win, but probably slightly more convincing 2-0 win. I suppose before the start, we have now played Aberdeen twice, Celtic away, Motherwell and St Mirren. So 5 in the last 5 games and won all 5. I think that's probably beyond our expectations. Maybe after a couple of days after the Hearts defeat.
Well, I think given how we started the season, if somebody had said at any point this season we would have won 5 games in the trot, I would have probably been pretty surprised. But look, I think the big thing after the Hearts defeat was getting a reaction from the players. Just because it was a disappointing way of losing the game. And to win the games we have, like sort of Motherwell have shown that they're a very good team. We had to work hard that night to get the win. St Mirren have been a bogey team ours for a few years. We managed to get the win. Obviously a massive victory at Parkhead, which obviously isn't an easy place for any Rangers team to go and do. And then back-to-back against Aberdeen. I mean, you sort of couldn't have asked for 5 tougher games, really, at that point, and we've managed to come through them all. I actually thought, and some people may not agree with me, but I actually thought we were in total control last night for a large majority of the game. I never really felt like we were on the back foot at any point. I thought our midfield was excellent. I thought Chermiti did a great job holding the ball up and getting players involved. I thought defensively we were pretty solid. And it's interesting, I was actually saying that to one of the guys on work today, Suter and Fernandes seem to have formed a reasonably good partnership there. And obviously even with Giga being back now, which obviously you might drop into a 5 at times in some games, but I think at the moment you would have to say that Suter and Fernandes have those jerseys, and it's going to be difficult to take them off them in the important games. Obviously, no doubt against Annan we will see some change, but no, I was very impressed with the performance yesterday, and given the weather conditions, the pitch looked as though it was quite heavy underfoot. And obviously, when you go to Aberdeen, it can always be a tough physical battle. So, yeah, just delighted that we got the win, another clean sheet, and I think we've seen some really good individual performances as well.
Yeah. I'll come at you then, Scott, as well. So after the Hearts game, we've done a pod, no doubt, and you go from there to there, and then so we weren't going to win the league, and Hearts were going to win it, and so forth. In that 5 games, we've conceded 2 goals, I think, scored 10, took 15 points, as well as says against very, very tough opposition. Certainly, I've been more than happy to have came away with 3 or 4 wins and a draw during that time. So to actually have got 5 wins, moved ourselves up to second place in the table, and very much in the shout for a title race now.
We're definitely in the race, Gary. Yeah, I mean, we're in with a shout. I think a lot comes to what's going to happen after that. I know everybody says the window closes, but it's probably true to see who each team brings in. Yeah. I think the top 5 could probably beat each other on their day, to be honest with you. You could more well and Hibs put in decent performances the whole season as well. So I think it's going to be very close this season. I still think Hearts are the favourites just because of the position they're in. Mm-hmm. And I've seen that your game yesterday, they weren't great, but they dug out a result even with 10 men. And they're the type of results that keep you up there and get you over the line, I should say. Celtic will get reorganised because they've brought back Martin O'Neill, and ourselves are just getting better. But like I said before we come on, I don't feel we're getting the plaudits and we deserve. Maybe we don't want them, to be fair, because I think sometimes if you get them, you start speaking about title races and stuff, and I don't think we should. I think we should just keep going as Daniel was doing, game by game, because he surprised me when he came in. I didn't really know what to expect from a manager. Mm-hmm. But now what he's done with this squad of players, and I'm saying that week, he's probably got more out of these guys than he could probably get. But they're showing character as a team there. They're fighting for each other, and I've never seen that in the start of the season. I saw a lot of individuals, but I never seen the team coming as one. You seen yesterday when they score, they're all together. When somebody loses a ball, there's others there trying to win it back for them. You didn't see that, Gary, at the start of the season. You seen players like arguing each other and no happy with positions they were playing. But Daniel's formed a really good team spirit there, and no making any signings apart from the boy just brought in who's not played yet.
Yeah. So we'll come on to that. I think that's important as we talk about where this changes came from. But I see something in the comments talking about Gordon's wonder save. I was watching the news earlier on BBC, the whole montage of Craig Gordon's saves. Like, it's been a great save anybody's ever seen. Now, really good save. Got my point. Could be got 3 points. Sorry, could be important coming into the season. But it's fascinating how enthused people were with that save. But anyway, we're a Rangers pod. I won't go into that much detail. So I think, one of the things that struck me, and it was Diamandi's press conference, I can't remember if it was before the game or after the game, and he talked about, I think it was on Sky Sports after the game actually, he talked about togetherness. The players now know each other, the players have got relationships with each other, the players are now working for each other. Go back to what Scott said, I think we've said a lot at the pod over the last few months that you don't know how good half these players are because they just didn't look like a team, looked like a team of individuals, they looked as though they were disjointed, didn't look as though they knew what they were doing. Danny Rowe's got them now looking like they're merging into what was a team, and you can only win a game of football by being a team eventually, and only win titles of being a team. Do you? Has that been the biggest change to you?
I guess it depends how far you want to go with it. Obviously, at the start of the season, we looked quite disjointed. I think it was quite clear that what the manager was trying to put into place wasn't really working. We were too open defensively. In fact, you could probably pick parts in every part of the team at the start of the season. It really wasn't working. And I think one of the biggest things, and I don't know if people will agree with me, but it never really felt like the support wanted the manager back then in terms of Russell Martin. I think Danny Rowe came in, and I think most people were just happy that Russell Martin was away. But I think gradually over the last, whatever it's been now, 3 months or so, he's built up a togetherness with the players. And I think the fans have bought into it as well. And I think that's a huge part of any like team that ends up being successful. You've got to have the belief in the manager, and I think once you've got that, and the players buy into that as well, and it looks like the ownership are going to back him here as well. Looking at one of the new confirmed signings, I mean, he to me is exactly the type of player we need. We need a big physical presence in the middle of the park, and this guy seems to tick the boxes when you look at him. You look at his statistics as well. He can play as a 6 or an 8, which I think is really good for us because Danny will change it up. He's clearly not scared to do that in games. We're obviously linked, with a Belgian under-21 left back, clearly a position that we really only have Jaden Magoma, who, in my eyes, has done a really good job this season for a young kid that's just out on loan. And obviously in the last 24, 48 hours, we've been linked with 2 or 3 wingers. So, I mean, yes, I think in the summer we made mistakes, but it's clear they're trying to rectify it. I didn't think we would have spent 7 million in the whole January transfer window, never mind on 2 players. So yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Like, you don't expect such a big change from the summer to now, but it has been. And you just hope that we can keep the positivity going and that we can keep winning games of football, really.
Yeah. And we'll get into the game against Aberdeen then. So just on that, one of the things he started off good, Scott, very solid the first couple of games of the season when he came in. This 5-3-2, very defensive, keep clean sheets. And I suppose a lot of people thought he might have reverted back to that yesterday, given there was hardly any defenders left. There probably wasn't the opportunity to do that. But it goes kind of 4-2-3-1. You've now got Stelling out, you've got Barron out, obviously it's happened during the week.
Mm-hmm.
And the first half, there wasn't a lot happened. We will come into the kind of key incidents because we'll just cover them quickly. Aberdeen huffed and puffed a little bit, a good shot from outside the box. We had lots of possession as well, never really done a lot with it. And then we get the first goal, which I think was maybe 15, 20 minutes. But by that point, Diamandi did a shot that was well saved by the keeper. I think Tava did a shot as well. But nothing massively clear cut. Good again, Scott Fry. People like to talk about set piece coaches all the time now, as if it's the end thing. It's a coach that tells people what works with people doing corners and routines. Magoma pass it to Tav. Tav gives it back to Magoma, curls it in. Asgard scores his third goal in 3 goals, 1 assist in last 5 games, I think. Really good finish, really good cross, and maybe not the best of defending by Aberdeen, letting them get away so easily in the 6-yard box.
That's all you keep hearing into it. I watched boxing and I seen a bit in Sky and they were saying the same, not the greatest defending by Aberdeen, but Asgard makes a move. That's up to the defender to follow. And if Asgard makes a move with the cross coming in, Chris Hutton's like, it's not the best of ball. I think Michael Stewart said the same, it's not the best of ball into the box, but it puts into a very dangerous area. And Asgard runs onto it perfectly and scores. If that was somebody else scoring the goal, they'd probably say that's a great goal. Because it's Rangers, maybe it's just me, it's not very well defended. But you knew what was happening. Asgard knew to make that move because he knew that's where the ball was going. And he was man marked, and just the blocking in the box and stuff. I think Peter even said that Aberdeen couldn't work it out what to do. And I think it well worked set piece. I think it's really clever, and Asgard finished it very well.
So sticking with Asgard then, so it's 3 goals and assists in his last 5 games. Obviously, he was taken off at half-time in the Celtic game when he was on a booking and it wasn't working at all. We've all talked about him since the start of the season. He was going to be the sensational one of the 14 signings, whatever it was. He was one that had the real ability to shine through. He struggled a lot with confidence, probably struggled a lot with some of the getting grips with physicality of the game. Do you see him now starting to come into his own, or is it still just moments for you? I know he's getting goals now, but is it moments and goals? I thought against Aberdeen last Tuesday played quite well when he came on, and again yesterday, a lot of nice stuff on the ball, a lot of nice things. I don't think he's ever going to be running about the park mad because that doesn't look like it's his game, but his touch and ability is evident all the time.
He's got really quick feet and he's got great balance when he's running with the ball and he can pass the ball. I think he's just getting used to the physical. I don't think he's been used to that playing down in England. But do Wigan and the League One Championship, I mean, it's physical, but you get certain time to play. The Premiership's the same when he was at Luton and stuff, but coming up here is different. You're not playing against players maybe as technically gifted as yourself, but you're playing against guys who work their arse off. And I think he's just getting used to that. I think a lot of players do. They come up here and I'm not saying they think it's easy, but they think they can do a job and they step onto the part and they think, I need to take a step back because I'm struggling. And I think he has a confidence, poor Gary Taylor. I think he has. But yesterday I thought he done really well. He was backtracking. He was tried to put challenges in. He was chasing after the ball when he lost it. And I just think he's getting better and better. But the more goals he scores, the more he gets involved. And I think Rule's kind of moved him about different places, not put him the same way Russell Martin did. And I think you can see he's forming a bond with Dio and Raskin. I think they all done well yesterday together, I have to say. And it's good to see because we need players who can come in and change games, come off the bench and stuff, because we need a big squad to carry this on. But no, I slagged him off earlier on. I didn't think he was up for the fight, but over the last couple of games, it looks like his mindset's changed and he is up for the fight because he wants to obviously stay at Rangers.
Yeah. Well, on tele, you know, I've said to my daughter watching the game yesterday, he reminds me of Joe Aribo before any comments. Not in looks, not in, but in terms of his style of play, he's that language kind of style, the way he likes kind of move and glide around the park. Joe Aribo, his first season, particularly struggled to adapt to the physicality of the Scottish game, was often kind of found wanting as well. I kind of get the same vibes from him. Just about understanding when to actually run with the ball, when to move it, and maybe just kind of get to grips with it. It has only been about 5 months now.
Yeah, well, I think even just going back to the first goal quickly, I like the fact that we change the angle of the ball into the box. Like, we don't have it straight from the corner, we shift the ball, which then makes it more difficult for the defenders. And then if you actually watch it back, I'm always intrigued by like set pieces. I always watch games back to see if I can see things. And you just watch, I think it's Fernandez or Chimiti, I can't remember one. There's just the tiniest little bump on the Aberdeen player, and that allows Tello to just get around the outside. So clearly they've worked on that. Like, that's not a fluke that's happened. That's something that they've maybe viewed in the previous game at Ibrox, that they feel like that little bit of movement is going to cause an issue. And obviously Tello gets a lovely touch to score. In terms of Tello as a player, I think he's got a lot of the attributes that we want in a midfield player. He's already got the physical size. He's a big, strong lad. I think he's like 6'2", 6'3". He's really good in the air, which wasn't something that I'd really kind of seen of him previously. Yes, I think he has got good feet. But Scottish football can surprise players in terms of the physicality and the speed of the game. And I think now he's starting to realise that he needs to get involved in the game more. But I think more importantly for Tello is he's got a manager that believes in him, who's putting him in there and giving him that opportunity to take those chances. And, you know, like, so no matter what anybody says about any footballer, confidence plays a part in it. And him getting that goal a couple of weeks ago and then scoring again the following week, and then he's going to gradually build up. It's even the teams winning as well. You tend to find that confidence builds within the group. And I think we're slowly seeing that building up. But yeah, again, I think just a quick point is, I mean, like, you look at how young Tello is, he's still in his early 20s. You look at Magoma, I think he's only 19. Mikey Moore's only 18. So, I mean, it is a young group of players. And I mean, that's why I thought we might have maybe looked to maybe bring in one or two players maybe in their late 20s in this window. I mean, we might still do that just to add a little bit more experience. But look, if Tello can keep scoring goals and playing well, it's great for the manager, because he can then look at his bench and say, well, I can maybe give Raskin a break, or I can give Diamandi a break, especially now with Tochi signing, that it gives us another midfield option. And if you believe the rumours that seem to be kind of going out tonight, it looks as though the lad from Sunderland's close to signing a pre-contract. So, and he's a left-footed midfield player. So if you get him on a pre-contract and then maybe you try and do a deal before the window closes, I think the manager's got a lot of really good options in that midfield. We can change it up. We can play different type of midfield players. I mean, strangely enough, the window we're having now is the window I hoped that we had in the summer. But look, it is what it is. Every supporter's got an opinion on who we should sign. Some guys on Twitter just think we should sign everybody that we're linked with, but that's just nuts. Skov Olsen, I would be very surprised if he comes. That's just my personal view. I think like the wages and the overall package for him would be excessive. No doubt he's a high-class player though, guys. There's no doubt in that. But yeah, I'm just happy we're winning games. I'm happy that we're building confidence. I'm happy that Tello's enjoying his game. I think Dio had one of his best games last night in a good while. Nico was back to his best kind of getting under the skins of people and kind of aggravating people. But I think when Nico's like that, that's when he's at his best. Because I think when Nico's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder, that's when Nico stands up. And see if you can keep that chip on his shoulder between now and the summer, we've got a serious chance of winning something. Because he is a guy in that group that I believe can lead this team along with a couple of others.
I know, I'd agree. Probably Raskin is better as an angry wee man, to use that kind of Scottish saying. We'll just come on to other instances. So I get your quick view. So we won't go into much depth. Tav plays a ball from a free kick from the halfway line. Fernandez leaps like a salmon, to use that old term. It goes way above the keeper and knocks in the back of the net. So you watch the replay, and his arm does hit the keeper's arm, which then arguably is the reason why the goal's then disallowed. I'm undecided. I've watched it umpteen times. I can see why it was disallowed, but I also think he was never getting the ball to the keeper anyway. So, Willie, what's your interpretation first?
My first thought when I seen it was, I've seen the goals get ruled out because it happened to Jack Butland. I think it was last season at Motherwell. We've obviously seen the goal that was ruled out against Hearts at Ibrox earlier this season. It would seem as though any contact with the goalkeeper's arms is now a foul.
See, on I might be wrong. Forgive me if wrong. Willie Collum and his VAR show, both those particular incidents said they stuck with the referee's decision. After watching it, was that? And they said there wasn't enough to change over referee's decision. Because I can understand. So in both those decisions, the referee gave a foul, I think.
Yeah.
And then
Mate, I'll be totally honest with you, right? See, this season, I've been more confused than ever with regards to VAR. I genuinely don't know from game to game what's going to stand, what's not going to stand, what's going to go overturned. My thought at the time was Mitov didn't come and attack it.
Yeah.
He didn't try to dominate it. And I think he was very fortunate. And I think it's interesting, given the hatred that Rangers and Aberdeen have for each other. I saw a lot of Aberdeen fans even saying that he was very fortunate and that he got a free kick for it because he didn't attack the ball. I think Fernandez can consider himself unlucky to not have a goal. And yet again, it's another one of those decisions that will end up on the VAR review, and I'm sure Willie Collum will back his officiating team and his VAR team on that one. My personal view is I think goalkeepers are slightly overprotected. Well, apart from Jack Butland when he gets kicked in the head, obviously that seems to be a different matter. But in terms of like this contact with the goalkeeper in the air with the arms thing, I think they've got to look at it. I think if a goalkeeper genuinely has the ball in his hands and somebody clatters him, fair enough. But seeing that instance and probably the Jack Butland instance last year against Motherwell, to me, both of those instances, it should be a goal because I don't believe for a minute that either Jack Butland or Mitov last night do enough to actually take the ball. See, if you're a strong goalkeeper, mate, you take everybody. You put the studs high and you maybe rake it down his arm or rake it down his chest, but you make sure you take that ball. To me, Mitov doesn't attack the ball enough, but I get why it's given because I think we've seen numerous ones of those over the last 18 months or so that have been given, and they just seem to be saying that any contact with the goalkeeper's arms in the air is now, basically a foul, and that's what they're going to stick to regardless of what anybody else thinks. So maybe we just have to accept that, to be fair.
Yeah. And certainly not in a Rangers podcast advocates sticking your studs down somebody's leg, right? We'll clear that up there just for but Scott, you've watched highlights. I don't know, just very quickly if there's anything, if your view on it.
I think it's a goal, Gary, every day of the week. I don't like VAR, never have. But you're talking about sticking studs. Mitov done that to Hearts player earlier in the season. And it wasn't a free kick when he came out for the ball, he kicked somebody. So I think goalkeepers are protected, and I don't know why. Because Mitov comes out with his hands, but Mitov comes out late. So the time he comes out, Fernandez is already in there. She's never going to get it. He doesn't give out any conviction. He just knows if I collide into Fernandez, I'm getting a foul here. And even if you listen to the goal, they're saying it's a goal. Nobody's even expecting to be looked at.
No.
And then they looked at it, and he gives it. He's saying, but you can't, Chris sort of spawn, I don't use that, but you can't jump out using your arms to jump. If you do that, then you'll get anywhere. So I think it has to be looked at. Again, another rule they don't know properly. Just think what's contact. We just rule as no goal, and it's poor decision making.
Yeah, I think, like, see, gets quick. Look, right, see, from the referee's point of view, he sees nothing. Like, he sees nothing to rule the goal out. And the linesman's actually quite close to the incident as well. And he doesn't obviously say anything in terms of the overrule. And in terms of what I'm saying earlier, see, like, if Mitov comes, and like most goalkeepers that used to always come out, they used to always have their knee high. So they would come out like that with their knee. And that used to actually, like, sort of push the defender or the attacker away a little bit. And then they would do the ball. And Alan McGregor used to always come out with his studs. Do you mind that when, like, the ball was coming close? Like, he used to fly out. And, like, Craig Gordon used to do it as well. But it's a protection thing. And it's very rare that you would see a penalty given against a goalkeeper for that. You very rarely ever see it. It's only if the goalkeeper comes flying out, misses the ball and punches somebody. So, like, to me, I just think Mitov is weak. Definitely. I just don't think he goes for the ball enough. And I think he's just extremely fortunate. I mean, obviously, it doesn't change the course of the game, guys, but it could have done. And I think, yet again, this summer's a good time to look at some of the things that they're currently, like, what would you say? Like, they're overruling decisions that don't need to be overruled. To me, it's not clear, it's not obvious, as Paul's saying there. That's a judgment call from the VAR. And I just feel at times maybe we're spoiling the games, because I was watching one of the FA Cup games there the other day, and obviously VAR's not involved until the 5th round. And I actually really enjoyed the fact the referees just make decisions without having to worry about what's going on in the background. But I do feel like at the moment there's just too many VAR things in games, and it's spoiling so much of the fun of football.
Yeah. I mean, do you know, if just on that point, so I mean, Scotland had Aberdeen game last Tuesday night, was it? And I think whenever they score a goal, I think Asgard scored, I can't remember. No, was it that game? But whenever they score a goal, you're looking for the offside straight away to see if there's an offside, then you're waiting to see whether you celebrate, because you think when the money taps in, I can't remember who that was, a week or two ago, you think he must be offside, and not taking away some of the enjoyment of the game. Just before we move on to the second half briefly, Fernandez then, as he does score, runs across the side of the pitch, gets pelted with numerous items. I've not seen enough a lot about that today, given the fact that Squishgate appears to be on the go again. But lots of things thrown, and for some bizarre reason, they then left him on the park when there was other corners not being taken the rest of the half. There's all these cups and all that sort of stuff. Very, very, very poor from, and some of the abuse that Miofsky was getting from the Aberdeen fans as they were warming up, and the subs, I believe, was pretty toxic. It seems to be the case. So just highlighting that, not because we want to see that from MD, and I mean any fan across any team, but it's when you're talking about somebody swishing about water after being poured juice over you, maybe we like to focus on things that are really more dangerous sometimes. And the second half's really comfortable, Scott. You know, this is probably, I think this is possibly as well or as controlled as we've played in a game, and I don't mean maybe taking out with the Old Firm game, but completely controlled the second half. Sitting with my daughter saying, we just need to get a second goal and kill it. Just finish the game, because we're dominating. I don't think Aberdeen laid a glove on us. Chabita has a chance. Moore has a chance. We've got numerous situations around the box. But again, we don't look like creating enough a lot outside of set pieces at this moment in time, which is maybe one of the things we'll come when we talk about transfers.
I think Gary, we could have scored more. I think Chabita should have scored. He was unlucky. I think me as well. He said Mikey Moore was unlucky with him. You can see a Mikey Moore's run. Did you see? I think it was Shinny stuck his leg out to try and trip him up, but he didn't, and then he put his hands up like that, thinking I never touched him. But he tries to kick him. I just felt yesterday Rangers knew we were in control, Gary. I felt Rangers knew it was comfortable. I didn't feel any threat for Aberdeen. I think sometimes players will get that sense in the park, and they think this game's kind of on. Raskin as well, the header. I still think he might have been offside, to be fair.
No, I thought it was onside.
I thought he was offside when he came into the box. I was just watching sports scene. I said they might have been offside, but no, I think Rangers, the players knew. Listen, this is not Aberdeen teams like we faced in the past. Yesterday's game was, I would say, wasn't a lot of challenges flying in. I know, wasn't a lot of like dirty hangs and pulling jerseys like the users up there. It was more for the fans, for anything else. I thought Aberdeen players lacked a lot of stuff, and fight was one of them, and I think Rangers won that game quite comfortably, even though it was only 2-0. But like I say, I think Danny Real kind of knew they're not going to score against us, so we'll just keep playing about with the ball, and we were very comfortable.
I'll stick with you, Scott, then. So we get a penalty, I think maybe about 75 minutes or so. So you often criticise Gassama for going down easily. Again, when the penalty happens, I'm thinking he's dived again. What's he doing? It doesn't look like much when you see it the first time. The reaction of Shinnie when he doesn't even protest and Shinnie argues about anything going. The fact he doesn't argue at all makes me think, well, maybe there is something in that. Watch it again. Still struggle to see a lot of contact, but the penalty's given quickly. VAR okay it, and I think Shinnie after the game says, you know, I caught him. But his theatrical dive maybe doesn't help himself.
That's the way players go down, Gary, and he's one of the ones that sometimes doesn't get decisions maybe he should, because he does make a meal of it. But I think everybody was looking at where Shinnie's foot went, and it was his knee caught. It wasn't his foot, it was his knee. And I think as soon as you feel a touch in the box as a football player, you're going to go down. There's not many that don't. And it was a penalty for me. I know I've seen a lot on social the day saying it was never a penalty, but it was a penalty. I've seen worse penalties given, do you know what I mean? But it was there's contact, he goes down, it's a penalty. And you see no Aberdeen player even protested. Shinnie put his hands up at one point and then just walked away, as in to say, I've caught him. So, no, it was a good penalty for Tav. The keeper nearly got it. He went the right way, but it was right in the corner. If it wasn't right in the corner, they'd probably saved it, but it was a good penalty for Tavernier. Because that kind of finished the game off, and it was good to see him scoring again, because I like when he scores and he's happy, and you see all the players running at the fans and they're celebrating as a unit. As Willie said earlier on, it's like the camaraderie's back. There's the fans only shouting abuse at the players. They're not kind of trying to give it back or hide, and it's like we're all together again, and it's good to see that.
And then Scott says it was a really, really good penalty. I mean, no matter if the keeper dives the right way, the power on it, it's right in the side net. And I think what was his 99th league goal, and it was on his 550th career appearance for Rangers, I think. Listen, I was saying, good penalty, gets the game done, and again, moves back top of the goal scoring chart. Scott, is that right? Well, yeah. So, but that again set the game, finished the game, got us the win, and the rest.
That's going to make his Big Fernandez get ruled out. Big Fernandez with top goal scorer this season, I'm telling you.
He did have the assist in it, so either way. But really good penalty, well, and that kind of puts the game to bed and it eases the pressure on us for the last 15 minutes. Is a bit of a procession.
Yeah, look, I think any time anybody steps up to take a penalty, it's definitely pressure, you know. But look, Tav's record at penalties is outrageous overall for the length of time he's been taking them for us. I had no doubts he was going to score. I had none whatsoever. And see, at that point of the game, we fully deserved to get the goal. It's not like we weren't in control of the game. It's not like we weren't creating chances. The game should have been over by then already. But yeah, look, it takes a bit of pressure off. And I think in the last 15, 20 minutes, we probably should have scored another couple with the chances we created. But what I really liked about is, even obviously after the second goal, as I was saying, sometimes it's easy to then drop off a little bit and just slow the game down and just see it out. We didn't. We kept going forward. We kept trying to get goals. And I think that's something that we're gradually getting better at, if I'm honest. I think at times early on with Danny, it was just a matter of sometimes getting a goal ahead and then just making sure we were seeing the game out. And a lot of those games we were playing a back five and we were just trying to make sure that, you know, we were getting through to the end of the game. But I felt, you know, especially against Aberdeen, I just thought we had a lot of control, and it's so good to see. And yet again, I've no issue with like the changes that will come against Annan, but it's important that when we come up to the next league game, which I think is Dundee, that we start off with that same mentality, that we get straight out on the pitch and we go on the front foot. And obviously with them we might have a couple more signings, which looks more than likely. But I think for me the biggest thing is that there's a clear kind of happiness within the group. Because see, when you see the whole players, every single one of them going to the crowd, that's a sign that they're all together in there. And they know, yet again, that's another big victory, guys. I think that's another thing. It's not been easy for us to go to Parkhead and Pittodrie in recent years. So to go there and win back-to-back away games, which are two of our biggest rivals in Scotland, clearly, that will mean a lot to the players. It gives the players more credit for the support, which is a big thing. And it can only help build confidence and help the new players settle in. Because see, when you're winning, it's always easier to implement a new signing when you're winning, because they can slot into the team And I would imagine we'll probably see whoever we sign between now and Sunday before Friday. I'll play in the game because it'll be important to get minutes for those guys, because I would imagine going to places like Motherwell and Hibs will probably need Tochi in that midfield, sitting a bit deeper, and maybe allowing Diamandi or Tello or Raskin to be that 8 or 10, depending on how the manager sets them up to play.
And Scott, there's been a lot of talk about the substitutions or lack of substitutions in the game. Arguably, that's probably because there's going to be wholesale changes in Friday night against Annan. So basically, the players had effectively the next big game, the next main game is 10 days away. And there's obviously a slightly weak bench, as to be said yesterday, with Rabbi Matondo, Dowell and Danilo and various other guys that don't look as though they've got much of a future at the club.
No, you can see that. It's probably yesterday was one of the weakest benches we had. Obviously, Finlay Curtis is going to come on again. I think Lyle Cameron's going out on loan as well. And I'm happy for the guys going out on loan, because I think they need game time. And I think the two of them could come back better players and get more involved in the squad again. Hopefully they do, because I like both of them. But we do need other signings. But I think I agree with Willie. I think another few will come in. Probably maybe up to 4 might come in. And I think we need that. And the board, give the board their due. They know they've made mistakes at the start of the season, and they've corrected the mistakes they think they've made with the 3 people who have left the club. But you can see they're backing Daniel, because I think they see they've actually got somebody in they can trust and they believe in. And I think they see the fans do it as well, and I think the players do it. It's been a big turnaround, because remember Gary going to games Willie as well. When Russell Martin was there, it was all like protesting.
It's horrible.
A lot of the times when they concentrate in the game, it was about Stewart, Thelwell, Martin. The players must have felt that, and then when they were scoring, they were still getting this Martin Getty and stuff like that. So it must have been very difficult for some of these players, especially ones coming into the club, and then we're drawing or losing, they're getting booed and they're walking off the park thinking, what have I come to? So it's a total turnaround as amends for a few months, what Daniel's done. And nobody knew what Daniel was going to bring in the club, because he hadn't been a manager for long at Sheffield Wednesday. He'd been a coach at various other teams, but when he came in, he said, I want to win, but we'll work out the rest of it later. We just need to win games. He's done that. But you can now see he's getting us playing attacking football. He's getting us playing a style. And this is where the guys that's in the building. So you're just hoping with the right players coming in, we get better and better, because that's all we hope for. We just want to see Rangers win at the end of the day. We want to see them challenging. We've not got to deserve right. And some clubs think to win things every season. But we just want to see us challenging and putting in a challenge where at the coming end of the season we're in touching distance, or maybe getting a title, or maybe getting a cup, and we're happy with that. And I think under this guy, they will do it, because I just get a good feeling about Daniel. Every time I listen to him when I watch his play recently, he's just so good at what he's doing. Even yesterday, he says 3 points up the road. It's none of this as long as it's gibberish nonsense, just 3 points, clean sheet up the road, see you later. And he kind of gets it, doesn't he? He's no any hears it. He's just, that's 3 points for the country at next game. And that's what I like about him.
See, but that's it, Kelly. Keep it simple. Do you know what I mean? Like, win the game, get back down the road. That's it. Nothing else matters. See all this nonsense that comes with social media and all these like idiots that are on Sky like arguing with each other about stuff, right? Like sort of none of that matters. See, the only thing that matters is that group of players and the coaching staff. And see, as long as they all believe in each other, and the manager says, "Do you know all that matters today here at Pittodrie? 3 points and back down the road."
Yeah.
Don't care how we do it. Obviously, it'd be nice if we played well and we won the game, which we did. But all that matters is we won and get down the road. That's it. Same when we go to Easter Road. Same when we go to Motherwell. Let's go and get the 3 points and get out of there. I don't care how we do it. It's about winning games of football. And like sort of December and January are certain times of the season it can be really difficult. It's tough going at times, especially with no winter break this year. So you're not really getting that break. But I think the manager will definitely look to utilise the squad in the coming weeks, because we'll need to. You know, like it's just natural that we're going to pick up a couple of knocks and injuries, maybe suspensions at this time of the season. So it's hoping that every single player can step up when they're needed.
I don't know what you two think, but I'm thinking, looking at the Rangers now, the team, I know it's still the same team because the new signings haven't arrived yet. But under Daniel, I don't fear going and playing anybody anymore. Whereas came back to maybe 5 weeks ago, Gary, I was like to you, that team will probably score, we'll probably knock a draw. I'm not confident, but in 5 weeks since then, it's like, I don't care who we're playing, because I feel that team, he's got that team playing in such a way, they're confident they're going to go in the park and get the 3 points no matter how they do it.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I mean, I've probably banged on a lot. You're always saying to me that I'm too optimistic, Scott. So I've probably saying for months that confidence and momentum is the key. We don't really know how good most of these players are, how good they can be until they get a run of wins together, get the right manager can get that run of wins together. Then that momentum starts to grow and you start to see them look like a team. And also momentum for the fans. Fans then start to believe. Fans not stop that green face stuff that was you're going, as you're saying, you're going to Ibrox and you're miserable because you're listening to everybody else moaning around about you. As everybody starts to get on the same, let's sing for the same hymn sheet, as they say, it starts to create a culture and an environment and a kind of, I suppose, a direction of travel where we've not had for since March 2 years ago when Clermont was going for the league winner. I think since then it started to go downhill. It took a while to recover. I think Willie may have frozen in the corner now, so I'm going to stick with you, Scott. Are you there? I thought you were just looking. I was
watching the TV. I watched the Liverpool Barnsley game on the television there. Sorry, mate.
The muscle there, Willie. That was impressive. So I'm going to let's go talk transfers then. So you mentioned a few times that Tochi Chukwuani signed for yesterday morning for.
I would let you say his last name there because I'm not saying that.
He joined us from. Well, he's been at Northland as well, as is Diamande, as has Ant-Man, as has Scott Olsen if he comes. Joined us for £4 million, central midfielder that kind of plays anywhere across the middle of the park. I think Diamande said in his interview after the game, he's aggressive, he's strong, he's good on the ball. He probably looks at one of these guys that's, you go to a lot of European games, you watch these European midfielders playing against you and you think, is that kind of style about him from what I gather? That kind of dynamic, strong, physical, but also good pass the ball. So he will add to Raskin, Diamande, Barron, and is probably a complementary central midfield for the rest of the season.
Yeah, look, I mean, listen, when me and Kerr have met up for a Greg's or whatever, usually or a Costa. Like the one thing that I really feel we've missed now for a number of years is a big physical midfield player. I know people will say, "Oh, that's kind of old school. That's not how they." But you still need those type of players, and I think in Scotland more so than most. And just looking at some of his kind of videos and watching some of the stuff on YouTube and speaking to a couple of people that I know that they've got a bit of inside knowledge in football, I think this guy just ticks a lot of the boxes in terms of what we need as a midfield player. I think he's going to break up the play well. I think, yet again, without kind of harbouring on about the set pieces, he's another threat from set pieces.
6'1",
he's another big physical lad, isn't he? I just think he is one of those pieces that we needed to add in this window. We don't have enough physicality, I think, at times in that midfield. For many years, we just looked to dictate games by moving the ball. We know what, sometimes you just need to get stuck in, and sometimes you need to be physical and you need to win that battle and you need to win the first ball and the second ball. And, sometimes when it's backs to the wall, you just need your midfield players to get in there and win every header and block every tackle. And I think he's that kind of player. And I think it's a really nice bit of business from Rangers. And I think he's the sort of guy, when you look at his physicality, that if he does well for Rangers and Rangers are successful, he's easily the type of player that might end up in the English Premier League because he's got that athleticism, he's got that power. And that's something that they sign a lot of players like that down in England. In terms of the left back, yet again, if I kind of look at him as well, yet again, a lot more powerful than Magoma, a couple of years older than Magoma. The fact that he's part of the Belgian under-21 squad, yet again, shows his quality. Interesting that obviously our ex-coach, the Westerlo manager, has been out saying how good a player he thinks he'll be for Rangers. You don't really tend to hear that from a lot of coaches that is just about to lose a player. But yeah, I think we're going for a certain type of player in this window, and I think some of that's to add a bit more physicality and a bit more power to the team, Gary.
Yeah, and the left back, was he 6'1" as well? 6'1", strong runner, hard in the tackle. Maybe only from what I read to that Westerlo manager, as you said, the Chaiwari, is that his name? Came out as our coach, talking about how he's a big physical unit as well. He likes to run up the left back, so it's one of the things we probably lacked. Magoma's done well, but he's quite slight. He's quite weak's too strong a word, but he's having a bit of physicality down that left-hand side will maybe add a bit to the team as well. There's a question here from Mark, so I'm just going to pick up and I'm just going to answer it quickly. Would I sign Scott McKenna? No chance. I don't think he would add any great value to the team. And Cammy Devlin, I will say it, and I've said it before on the pods, I don't think he's any better than the midfielders we currently have. And while he'd be a decent squad player, I don't think he would ever be a first-team pick on a free contract.
He's a good player, Cammy Devlin, but to be honest with you, he's very similar to Connor Barron. I think they're probably on the day they're probably roughly the same, but he's getting more of the plaudits just now because of where Hearts are. But Barron's been your shining light for the last couple of months, and just unfortunate the boy got injured, but he's been really, really good, Connor Barron. And I think if he was anywhere else, he'd probably, if he was at Hearts instead of Devlin, he'd be getting the same plaudits. So I think with Connor Barron there, you don't need Cammy Devlin. I will say, been linked with Dan Neil, I'm very happy about, because I've always liked him at Sunderland. And he's only in a game now because they signed Xhaka, so...
Xhaka's been player of the season pretty much down in England, isn't he?
And he's only 23, 24, he was Sunderland captain. I think he still is, but obviously doesn't play. But he'd be a great signing, and he's free, he's out of contract, just depending on his wages. But I think if we get him, he'd be a really good signing, because he is a physical player, he's a ball winner. Daniel,
I guess you don't think as well with that Kerr having the left footer in there helps as well, because it then allows us to change the shape a little bit, and it then allows us to maybe have a little bit more of an overload on the left hand side, because I think at times you don't have enough left footed players in the team.
Well, a lot of teams don't have a lot of left footers for some reason, and I think that's a problem. But also, I think if you bring him in and you bring the boy in that's already there, you've got Barron, you've got Dio, you've got Raskin. If Raskin is a good World Cup, you can make money off him and you can bring in more players, because that's what it's about. Players improving, and then you sell them on for a bit of money and you rebuild. And you see if this boy comes in, I'm even going to pronounce his name, we're signing for Sturmgratz. If he comes in and does really well, what you say, English teams are built at him because of his stature. And Daniel comes in, he could probably get a club in England, but if he wants to come up here, because he knows we're a big club, but he knows he can play in Europe, that can improve his, and he can get a move back down there. Because if he's free, that's a no-brainer for me, and that's what we have to do. And look at all the players we're going for. They're all 23, 24, like you said. Well, there's not a lot of but Daniel's very experienced for that age.
Yeah. As is Chukwuani and even the left back, they both played a lot of career games. I mean, they are young, they played a lot of games, which is maybe...
So's a boy Olsen, to be fair. He's one of these ones, you might get him in loan, but I don't know if we could push a boat out and get him permanently. But you just never know, because if the owners are happy with what the manager's doing, and if you get money for Raskin and maybe another couple, you just don't know what they would do. I mean, it's all ifs and buts, but
we're obviously looking, Scott, at right winger. So Scott, you mentioned Scott Volson there. So Scott Volson's been linked with us since we were all boys. It seems to have been about for years. They've talked about him for a number of years.
Wait, is he 25, 26?
26. He was at Bologna, I think, 4 years ago. For Bologna, I remember that when Van Bronckhorst looked at him, maybe Beale, can't remember. And he's been about.
I make Sammy to Bruges, and that'll pay his wages to bring him in.
He's a right winger. I mean, I think we'd all know we'd like to see Gassama on the left, because that's probably suits him better, you know. So we're clearly targeting the right-sided attacker, potentially allow Gassama to go to the left, to allow and move to go into number 10, guys like Asgard, things like that goes with it. So Scott Volson, Romain Mundell, there's certainly clearly targeting that position, and obviously there was one in the summer. What was the guy's name again? Christopher Raksaki, was it? Was that a position we tried?
Well, like to be a Hungarian today as well, who I think's playing in the Slovakian league. So I mean, it's clear they're looking for a certain type of player, Gary. You know, they're clearly looking for somebody that's going to play on the other side of the pitch now. And it's interesting, I've noticed that a couple of the guys are right wingers, but they're left-footed. So they must want them to drive inside a little bit more, or even within the games they can switch them over, and it allows that. I think one of the things that maybe hasn't been spoken about enough is that Danny Rule loves a bit of versatility in the team. So if you have a right footer on the left side, a left footer on the right, you can switch them over. I think when you look at Tochi, he can play as a 6 or an 8. You look at Raskin, you could argue that you get more out of Raskin playing higher up the pitch rather than sitting deeper. And I think by signing somebody like Tochi, it maybe allows like Diamandi to get more higher up the pitch. Look, I've argued with guys in the enclosure about Diamandi. I am a massive fan of Diamandi. I have since the first day we signed him, because I caught I think it was just before we signed him, I spoke to Cameron Campbell, who used to be at Rangers. He was an academy coach, and he worked with Dio when he was at Right to Dream. And he obviously knew him from his time in Northern and stuff like that. And he just messaged me saying, well, this kid's got everything. If Rangers can get him going, the world will see how good a player he is. And see at times when you watch Dio, see the way that he takes the ball in. I love the way that he always tries to play in the pockets. He's always looking for the ball. He never ever goes hiding, Dio. Yes, he might have poor games, but he'll always look for the ball. He'll take the ball anywhere, whether that's in the 18-yard box or if it's straight in the middle of the pitch. He's never afraid to get involved, Dio. I just think he's a top player, but we just need to find a way of finding that consistency kind of thing, guys. Do you know what I mean? I don't think we see it consistently enough.
No, I'd agree with you. I think we and Scott said it for months as well. Every week in the pod, I think Dio frustrates us because we know he's got all the attributes. At times he doesn't get involved in the game as much as he probably should. And to be fair, if you look at where he came in January 2 years ago, it's been a bit of a steady decline in the club altogether since then. So other than that, so he's maybe really struggling alongside everybody else. He's certainly got the ability. He's got the touch. He's got the work rate. He's got the desire. I think sometimes it's just about piecing it all together. And there's definitely a player. I don't think any doubt there's a player there. And I always think, maybe with Chukwuani coming in, I always think there's a flat midfield three would suit them better. Allow them to kind of switch up when Deal goes forward or Raskin goes forward.
You probably find Gary, if you asked him, he probably sees him playing well himself because he didn't go to the con, didn't he? And stuff like that, and he probably wanted to go there and he's been out of team and because he probably knows what he can do. He's just been being frustrated with himself for whatever reason. But I think the last few games he's shown a bit of more for him, and I think when him and Raskin play well, they've got a really good understanding. But it's getting them more on a consistent basis. And maybe you say bringing somebody in there who can just sit behind a bit more physicality, they're not having to cover everybody else in the park because that's what sometimes they do, and then they're getting dragged out of position. Whereas having somebody there, just because they're both better going that way, and they are going that way, to be fair.
No, I'd agree. And that's the confidence of players improving. We talked about a month ago, 2 months ago maybe, but who's improved into the last couple of months? It was hardly anybody, but I think you can name a number of players now. But we're also talking about players going out. Well, I'm going to pick on you just because obviously the big one is probably Finlay Curtis is allegedly rumoured to be going to Kilmarnock. Neil McCann supposedly wants him. Again, I think Kilmarnock wanted him this summer then. There's obviously Lyle Cameron's potentially getting out on loan, and there's a number of squad players from Rothwell to Danilo to Matondo to Dowell, Bajrami, NCL, others that I can remember that are on the globe. But certainly, I suppose the main ones we see Curtis and Cameron go to get game time. Curtis probably more with a view to future. Cameron, I'm not quite sure whether he just doesn't really suit Danny Rowe style.
Yeah, I mean, if you believe like the murmurs that's going about, like so Rangers are trying to do the deal with Sunderland while the Rothwell deal is going the other way. Obviously not to Sunderland, but to a team in England. So like the wages that are freed up with Rothwell will basically cover the signing of the lad for Sunderland. In terms of Finlay, he just needs to play. I think the deal's pretty close. I don't think there's too much to be done now. I think they're fully expecting Finlay to play on Saturday for Kilmarnock against Dundee. I'll maybe try and get along to the game actually, if I can. Show a bit of support because I think he's had a tough last couple of months at Rangers. I know some of it's down to injury, but I think if Finlay can get a run of games, he'll show people why he was highly, kind of looked at by Rangers in terms of his quality in the final third. He's a kid that as soon as he sees the goal, he'll take a shot. He's got that ability in the final third to hurt teams. I mean, you don't do that in the Champions League qualifiers if you're not a good player. Do you know what I mean? You don't just do that by luck. That was quality from Finlay. And then he comes off the bench against St Mirren, gets the goal, scores against Arlo in the Cup as well. And I think one of the benefits is obviously Neil McCann knows him. He knows the kind of kid he is. He knows the type of player he is, the type of character he is. I think he'll be a really nice addition for Kilmarnock, and I'm pretty sure their support will really enjoy watching him play. And if Neil can get Finlay going, which I think he will, wouldn't be surprised if Finlay bangs in a few goals pretty quickly for Kilmarnock and helps them out of the trouble that they're in.
Well, you've seen him more than Andy, right? Probably, and Scott often thinks he should be a centre forward because he bangs in that many goals. Where do you think his best position is currently, or maybe even in the future?
Probably probably either from the wing or as a 10. I think he's better when he can make those late runs into the box. I think that's where he's really, really good, Finlay. That's where he was probably his best within the academy structure. Yes, he can play as a striker, but I think you get more out of him in that deeper position. Yeah. Because like the way that he makes runs and the way that he finds himself into little pockets of space, he's a really, really smart football player, Finlay. And I think, yeah, again, he's just one of those kids that needs to be playing. And I think he is probably going to the right type of club because McCann wants to play football, and I think that will suit Finlay. And he's also a kid, as I say, that isn't afraid to take his chances. If it's 18 yards, 25 yards, Finlay will take a dig. And he's more than capable of scoring goals from those positions. I mean, Friday night's an interesting one. The Rangers look at maybe putting like a Kyle Glasgow on the bench, because it's maybe an opportunity to try and tell him that, Rangers want to keep him. I think we'll maybe find that out on Friday. But in terms of Finlay, I'm really happy for him. I'm happy this deal looks like it's going to happen. And the fact he's going to a Premier League club as well, that shows you what Neil McCann thinks of him.
I heard Willie Rangers say, but it's only on loan, even there was never any prospect to sell him.
No, and I don't think that should be the reason either. I mean, look, the big thing is, see at Rangers, it's so difficult as a young player to break into the team. I mean, you look at like Jaden Magoma, he's had to come up here to really get that exposure. And like Mikey Moore, yes, he's a certain degree of exposure at Spurs, but he was probably going out on loan this year regardless of where he went, kind of thing, because he needed that game time. So, like, for us, it benefits us that Finlay goes out on loan because he can play and he can develop and improve, and then we can get an idea if he can cut it at this level on a consistent basis. If Finlay can go and score, I don't know, say like 5, 6, 7 goals, whatever it may be, but he helps Kilmarnock, like move up the league table, and it helps Neil McCann because obviously the Kelly fans didn't seem too excited by Neil McCann getting the job for what I've seen online. But everybody can benefit out of this as long as Kelly are doing well and Finlay's scoring goals, and it helps him have a career at Rangers. Because that's got to be the long-term solution, isn't it? In terms of other players, yeah, I think it's probably time, if we can, get rid of Kieran Dill, Ravi Matondo, Joe Rothwell. If the manager is going to get another couple of attacking players in, it would probably suggest it's the end for Nedim Bayrami. I think the fact we're not really seeing Danilo coming on in games again, I think, yet again, there's a chance that he could go. That might be our chance to get in another striker. I think we're going to have quite an interesting next kind of 3 weeks or so in the window. I think we're going to see quite a bit of movement. And I think the manager will want as much business done before the next league game as possible. Because I don't think you want to be signing people late on and then trying to throw them in against Hibs.
No.
I think if we can, we'll try and give them minutes against Annan or Dundee. Because clearly you've got the Ludogorets game, which you might see how would you word it? A slightly less impressive starting 11 against Ludogorets in the European game. Because you obviously can't come out and say you're down in tools and you're not putting out a good team, but I think Rangers will make sure that they don't play the strongest possible 11 that night, shall we say.
You'd imagine there'll be certain ones playing there. So there'll be lots of stuff over there, as you say. That in a game, we're not going to preview that much because it's going to take care of itself a little bit. There'll most likely be 11 changes. You'd expect Liam Kelly, Aarons, Giga, Rommel's a new signing, Romans, I can't remember his name, new signing, Chukwuani, any other new signings we have, and a whole suite of changes. So you don't expect Danilo guys that might get a game. You expect it to be probably 11 changes. So we won't preview that in much detail. The only other big news, Scott, was, again, your neck of the woods in Paisley, St Mirren's vice chairman, Jim Gillespie, also the chief executive of the Kibble, where is the Paisley Bad Boys home, for those that don't know where it is, as the Kibble. So the Kibble's a really great organisation. Joking aside, Kibble's a great organisation. It helps people that are troubled and lots of different things to go with it. But he's a chief executive there, a really challenging. I think got 1,000 employees or something. He will become our new chief executive. And I don't know. I've read bits and pieces. There's a little bit of scepticism because he was in the running 18 months ago when the previous chairman stepped down before the takeover. But there's also some positives in the fact that he knows the environment. He's went through a rigorous interview process. What's your thoughts on Jim Gillespie? Now, none of us know much about chief exec. None of you know much about what he's going to do. But your initial thoughts on it?
I'm actually quite happy. I think it's a good move for the club, and people say he knocked us back. I don't think it was so much knocking us back. I think he maybe thought, well, if there's going to be a takeover, new owners, I might get this job and then be told I'm not wanted. They're going to bring in their own guy. So what's the point? I may as well stay here where I'm wanted and where I'm happy and where I know everything. So the fact that Kavanagh's went up back to him and says to him, listen, obviously we're in charge and we want you to be part of it, that's probably giving him the confidence to say, that's fine, I'll take it, because I'm a Rangers fan by all accounts. So, and listen, he knows how to work someone. He's done really well behind the scenes with someone. He's done really well with a couple. I mean, I've been to Cabo a few times when I used to help run Everton Boys Club for a few seasons.
Yeah.
I used to go down to Cabo and ask any of the boys if they wanted to come and play, because it can be quite difficult at times to get players, and some of the boys did. And a lot of the parents weren't that happy because you're asking boys for the Cabo to come and play. But a lot of these kids here haven't got any families. They're there for a reason, not because they're bad. They're there because of circumstances. Maybe how they've been treated at home, or they've not got a home anymore, so they've somewhere they live. And a lot of the kids down there don't come for this area, they come for other parts of Scotland. So nobody knows where they are. And a lot of these young kids just needed somebody to give them some prospects, give them something to do, introduce them to something. Don't get me wrong, some of them are really rough and ready, but they were really nice once you got to know them, and they would do anything for you. So they did. So, and he's part of that organisation, which does a hell of a good work run about the Renfrewshire area. So I'm quite happy I'm coming in Rangers, Gary. Like I say, I don't know what you will do eventually. I don't know the full details of the job, but it is happening, because someone put a post out today saying it, thanking them for his service, and they will be leaving. So I'm happy we've got somebody in the door, and it's good to see we're building again. And hopefully, listen, can it do any worse than Patrick Stewart?
Aye.
So I'm going to, and he was at Man United for a while, remember? So I think Jim Gillespie will do a good job for Rangers.
And well, we got it spectacularly wrong this summer, from Kevin Thelwell to Patrick Stewart to Russell Martin. It does look now, hopefully, with the appointment of a chief exec who should start in 3 months' time and then never hear about him again. That'd be my ideal scenario. We shouldn't hear about chief exec on a podcast. Yeah. That means the job's doing well. But if he knows Scotland, knows the environment, knows the local connections, and obviously done a great job in his previous role, so it could be an asset to the Rangers going forward.
Well, yeah, he obviously comes into a slightly different job at Rangers from what he's been at before, but he understands Scottish football, which is half the battle. You have to understand the madness that comes with being at Rangers. I believe he's a Rangers fan from what I've been told. Not that that's the be-all and end-all, in all honesty, but I think it helps that you've got an understanding of the club and what it means to the supporters. I think Patrick Stewart misjudged that badly. And I think, and this might be a bit controversial to some people, but I do think you need a certain amount of people that understand what Rangers mean to people. I think you need those type of people within the club. I'm not saying they need to be in all the top positions, because I don't think they have to be, but I think it's important that you have people within the structure that, I don't know, for instance, like if Andrew Kavanagh sits down and says, well, what do you think about this? And somebody can say, look, I don't know if that kind of thing is going to happen up here. You know, the fan base probably wouldn't take too well to that. I think we should probably leave that. Because I think you need those type of people in the building at times to say that. Whereas when you're maybe not from up here, you would maybe just do it. And then you then have the kind of backfire from the supporters, from people that don't like it. Yeah. So I think having somebody like him will make things slightly easier. He obviously knows the people that work in Scottish football. So yeah, I think it's a smart appointment by Kavanagh, in the sense that, you know, he knows the game, he knows the people, he knows how Scottish football works, and he can come into the job, and he's already probably got a fairly decent idea as to what's going on round about him. And it's always easier to do that when the team's performing on the pitch. Yeah. And a bit like what you're saying, guys, is the hope is that you probably don't hear from him for about 2 years. Yeah. because Rangers are doing well, and he doesn't need to come out and do interviews, he doesn't need to speak about anything. He just goes about, you know, doing the job that he's getting well paid to do.
That's it. I mean, a chief executive should be away deploying the business functions of the organisation and getting them working well, making money, doing all the stuff that goes with it. It should have nothing to do with football more often than not. So if that's the case, and we don't hear much about Jim Gillespie from the day he starts his job until very much in the future, I will be more than happy. Scott, is there any topics I've missed before we come to the end of the pod? I say we've not covered that in game much because it's one of the kind of routine, strange games on a Friday night, bizarrely enough. On Sky, are you going to it? I'm
not 100% sure, Gary. I'll say how I'm feeling first, but it's on BBC Inter and it's against Annan. I always say the same. I say the word. I don't know. I probably will at the end of the day. I'll get Friday and I'll say I'll just go. But like I'll say how I'm feeling. But no, I'm looking forward to the games again, Gary. Even though I was still going, you were going to the games thinking, will we get a result? Will we get up a draw? But now back on the front foot, I just say I'm looking forward game to game. I think under Danny, like I said, it feels good at the moment. I'm just hoping it continues.
Yes, definitely. And as you know, it was a chore for that first couple of months. It was horrible, actually. I didn't enjoy it at all. It was depressing listening to people moaning about you constantly and waiting for the game to be done. Well, Ian, there was no cover that you wanted to get off your chest this evening.
No, I don't think so. I'm just like, it's nice to see the positive comments because at the start of the season, I think Kerr will tell you I'm a fairly positive guy most of the time. I actually don't really like negativity, but it was hard not to be negative earlier in the season because there wasn't really anything to be positive about, in all honesty. But I think like Danny Rose brought that feel good factor back to the club, which is what we needed. I think it's allowed the people in the background to do their job quietly, which is helpful. Because when there's always a lot of noise around the club, that's not a good thing. And everything just seems to kind of get blown out of proportion, doesn't it? Every single little thing. So right now, keep winning. Let's get the business done. Let's get the players in that we need to help this squad of players. Let's get the players in that the manager needs. And let's kick on in the second half of the season. We know it's not easy. We're not getting overconfident. We're just happy that we're winning 5 games in the trot. And hopefully we can just keep going with that for as long as possible. But look, one game at a time, man, and then Friday night, I'm working till 4 o'clock, then I'm heading to the pub for a couple of beers and hopefully we can have a pretty comfortable victory on Friday night and it can be a good weekend. And I say, like, if Finlay does go to Kilmarnock, I maybe try and go to that cup game on Saturday as well, all being well.
And I think on that note, we'll kind of finish the pod there. So we are, as you say, we are a more positive pod. I think we try and be balanced. We try and keep it more positive because it's meant to be fun. Football's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be enjoyable. My cousin was up from England at the weekend there and he was saying to me he never misses an episode and it is balanced. And what he likes about it is that it's balanced. There's actual proper conversation. It's not constantly criticism of everybody, which is something we try not to do because it's for football supporters. The supporters are there to enjoy it. We're there to have fun with it, and it's great to see he's actually winning games and positive things to talk about rather than the constant negativity of get him out. And that's kind of what we hopefully see going forward. And certainly under Danny Rowe, it looks like we're on the right trajectory. But I'm sure there'll be many bumps in the road. There'll be games we will lose. There'll be games that we'll not perform in. And there'll be people up in arms at certain points. But we're certainly in a better position than we were just like 10 weeks ago or so. So as we enter into 2026, so here 2025 is a rubbish year for Rangers. So 2026 becomes a positive year, and we will see how it goes. So I think that's us for this evening. We won't be back Friday clearly because the Rangers game. You'll be all watching Rangers Annan on BBC. We will then be back next Monday. I think Scott, is that right? We'll do that next Monday, and we'll talk back at the game. And hopefully by that point we'll have a couple of more signings in, and we can look forward to not the European games, as well as says it doesn't really matter much, but look forward to the Premier League next block of fixtures, or SPL next block of fixtures. So thanks everybody for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. We appreciate all your comments. Alexander, hope you get well soon and take care everybody. See you later. Bye now.